Alex Lopiccolo is a certified occupational therapist, nutritionist, and a personal trainer, but most known as King of Swings. I've been following Alex for a couple of years and trying to implement some of the activities. So, hello, Alex.
Hello, how you doing?
Great. So, Alex, what brought you to the world of swings and sensory?
I started off in occupational therapy 12 years ago, and when I saw that swings could be modified for even more powerful therapeutic use, and I've always had a love and passion for fitness and movement. So by combining creative movement with suspended activities in space, it was right up my alley.
Uh-huh. So why swings good for children on the spectrum?
It helps you understand um, your body sensations, where your body in space is. Working against gravity is really important to feeling secure and safe on this earth. Also, just the problem solving with the whole body. It helps integrate the left and right brain. And also, it's just a fun and motivating way to get an endorphin release.
Uh-huh. So how does swinging actually impact the brain?
So it impacts the vestibular system. The vestibular system's in the inner ear. And by balancing the fluid and crystals in the inner ear, it helps with overall balance, posture, arousal, and the getting into that optimal alert state where you can function the best. So with a combination of vestibular and then also resistive work, such as proprioceptive heavy work, combining those two things, it helps with self-regulation and overall daily life skills, such as getting dressed in the morning, brushing your teeth, feeding yourself. You have to have these types of sensory systems organized in order to carry out these complex daily activities that we have to do.
And you mentioned brain imbalance. So would the activities that you'd be doing for a child who's got a right brain deficit would be different from a child with a left brain deficit?
Not necessarily. It's all about how the sensory systems impact the nervous system. So I don't necessarily look at left or right brain. I'm looking at what's affecting their daily function through the sensory systems. So a lot of times the parents will come in saying the child has frequent meltdowns that are super intense, and that is a sign of tactile defensiveness or tactile sensitivity. And that emotional dysregulation is from that being on that fight or flight majority of the day. So I'm looking more at the sensory systems of how they impact academics, activities of daily living, and behavior.
And how would you define like a sensory integration activities? I mean,
They're powerful movement-based activities. Now they could also be sedentary. They can also be suspended or non-suspended. The key factors is that they get proprioceptive, vestibular, and tactile input, other known as a sensory diet activity. So by combining those three powerful senses in an activity, that's where you get the most bang for your buck.
and would you recommend swinging before bedtime?
Absolutely. I like to give it a little bit of leeway time, within an hour of bedtime. And I like to go with soothing rhythmic swinging. So back and forth type of swinging versus spinning or going in large circles. And I like to combine it with Lycra, which is four-way stretch spandex. And by getting that child into the fetal position, with deep pressure sensations and rhythmic movement. It's very soothing to the nervous system and can help a child calm down before bed.
Now, many of the new buildings are built from plaster wall. So can we actually fit in a swing in the house?
There's doorway swing systems that clamp onto the doorway or drill into the doorway. Those work okay. Also, it depends on the way that the houses are built. And knowing the skeleton of the house is really important to see if the beams are weight bearing or not. And I do therapy clinic designs all the way to home designs, and it's always about the skeleton and how secure it is.
So could you explain a bit about some of the equipment that's behind you and what would you use it for?
Sure, absolutely. So I was just playing with my kids on this belt swing right here. It's a one-pointed belt swing. It has that little trapeze spreader bar at the top that's wooden. It's a dowel rod. And so they were sitting on their bottom and they're kicking the big red ball back and forth to each other. Now, this is not your typical home sensory gym. This is my Sensorimotor Lab. So this is where I do all my testing and figuring out what works for the best activities. So I also use Lycra, which is that stretchy material hanging from the ceiling. You can it gives you the deep pressure sensation. You can climb in it, crawl in it, somersault in it, or just lay back and relax. You can also swing in it too. We got some crawling blocks over that way. And then I like to do things where I have a whiteboard on the wall for drawing, to work on fine motor skills. I also have other various swings hanging up on the walls, trapeze bars you can hang from and swing and crash. Also balance pads and a swing structure over there that you can slide down, a zip line you can crash from, and a ball pit behind that with my swing cabinet.
Wow. And when parents design a sensory room and on a tight budget, what would your recommendations be?
So I usually recommend them being in where the kids hang out the most likely the living room or family room. So having 2 to 3 points of suspension in the living room where the kid can go back and forth or they can spin. The more room, the better. So having it towards the center of the room is best. And since parents usually hang out in the kitchen or dining area, the kids like to, till they're teenagers, like to hang out in the family room closest to the parents. If it's in the basement, kids don't usually like going down there. If it's in the garage, too much fluctuation in weather and the time of day. So the best place is usually the living room, and 2 points of suspension, trapeze bar where they can hang or gymnastic rings. I also like a 2-point belt swing, like a playground swing, and Lycra if you can get it. And then the last thing, maybe a camping hammock that you can hang from 1 or 2 points from the ceiling. You can lay on your back, on your stomach, sit upright, various types of activities you can do with a camping hammock.
And any recommended a website to purchase?
So on sensorydigest.com, you can click on the shop. If you can't purchase it from there, Amazon or Google or just your local vendors, a lot of times you'll go into, a camping store and they have camping hammocks, or you go into a fabric store and they have Lycra. So, there's a lot of options.
And tips when creating an obstacle course while we want to use all our senses, kind of?
Sure. You know, going barefoot is probably number one. So you can get all the tactile sensation all the way from the palms of your hands down to the soles of your feet. Also, having like a beanbag chair to jump into, or a whole bunch of pillows, and you put inside of a duvet cover. It could be a crash pad to jump into. I also like something you can hang from, like gymnastic rings or trapeze bar. And then also, I like to use various pieces of fabric or tactile material during the obstacle course, such as compression tunnels. So the child gets a deep pressure sensation crawling through there. If they have scooter boards, that's awesome. You can use scooter boards on any type of flooring besides carpet, and the child can lay on their stomach and pull themselves down the hallway.
Oh, thank you. And Alex, how can parents contact you?
SensoryDigest.com or Sensory Digest on Facebook and Instagram. Also, if you're on LinkedIn, Alexander Lopiccolo.
Alex, thank you very much for your time and learned a lot.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.